Coming up on Tech News Today, I'm in Orlando, Florida for a speaking engagement, but Sarah Lane and Darren Kitchen are back at the ranch keeping things going. We're going to talk about China being responsible for a cyber attack on the French. They always get blamed for everything. Also, Facebook may be turning you into a fake. Are you really authentic? And should we talk about Charlie Sheen or great huge moon caves? We will decide live on the show next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, live from Orlando for Monday, March 7th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by MailRoute.info. MailRoute is a secure hosted service that provides enterprise-grade virus and spam filtering to companies of any size. Try it right now, absolutely free, at MailRoute.info. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
And holding down the fort in Petaluma, I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is still a show where we kick around the tech news of the day and try to make some sense of it all for you. I am out for a speaking engagement at a conference here in Orlando, Florida. But thanks to Sarah and Darren for holding down the fort, as they say.
We're holding.
Absolutely.
It keeps wanting to rise, but we've got a good grip.
Are you holding down the fort?
I don't know if anyone else is going to think that's funny, but I did.
France is holding the line against cyber attacks. Apparently, the French Ministry, Bercy, the head office of the French Ministry of Economy, Finance, and Industry, was hit by a cyber attack over the weekend. It seems they think to have been an attempt to find documents related to the G20, which France is the rotating head of right now. Rotating head makes it sound like The Exorcist. There is a rotating head in the G20, and France is that head right now. The ministry has been forced to shut down over 10,000 computers to fight the hack, and they've traced the hack back to China. But you know how these things go. I mean, everything gets traced back to China. I could trace my lunch back to China if I wanted to. I mean, it doesn't mean that the hack originated there.
I know, it's like either China really is where all these attacks originate, or people are just being mean at this point.
No, or people just don't update their Windows machines, and then they get owned, and then everybody just bounces their traffic through there. You know, it's a red herring.
A CNET article about this story said that the attack has been ongoing since December. So why are we just now hearing about it? Is because, the French government is worried enough to take it public?
Well, it sounds like they've been cleaning it up for quite some time.
Yeah.
They explained that it most likely the vector of attack was actually a Trojan horse sent by email. I don't know how many times we have to say don't open attachments.
Yeah,
I guess we didn't say it in French. That's what it was.
I don't know how to say it in French. L'attachement, don't open.
No say open.
No.
We need Patrick Meja, stat. So I know it's a good question. I mean, I guess over the weekend it got really bad, and that's when they finally noticed that some really nasty stuff was going on, and they've been able to shut it down now. But
they also had to shut down about 10,000 internal computers, so that's obviously putting a real damper on getting day-to-day work done as well.
You know the French, so they're used to strikes. Right. They're just like, I didn't even notice.
Lunch will be longer today.
The trains weren't running. All right. Tell you what's not to like. Anything that's changed by Facebook ever. Facebook thought they were doing a good thing. You guys have heard of Discuss?
Yes.
There's a few other services like that allow you to replace the commenting system on your blog with some more robust tools, usually to keep out spammers. Well, Facebook is an obvious candidate for this, so they've come out with a commenting alternative that allows you on your blog to replace the comments with a few lines of JavaScript and use Facebook as your commenting system. Now, one of the side effects of this is everyone who comments on your blog has to use their real name. They have to log in with their Facebook ID. TechCrunch has been doing this for about a week, as have a few other sites kind of testing it for Facebook. MG Siegler has a post up about kind of where it's at with them. They found that the quality of the posts have gone up for the most part. The number of posts have gone way down, and he worries that they might be a little sycophantic, that most people seem a little too enthusiastic. So instead of trolls, they now have people who just can't say anything but nice things. Is that bad?
Well, I mean, I think it's interesting how people seem to be on one side of the fence on this or the other. I love the idea of this because, taking away that it's Facebook for a second, it could be any company. Let's say I choose to use Darren's new commenting system, whatever, and it forces me to be myself, to comment as myself. And you can't use, weird profile picture. Well, you can use real profile pictures, but it has to be associated with your real, true identity. You now go back to the old days where, 5 people are in a room and I say something to Darren and he knows that I said it and he can respond accordingly. And it sort of is undoing the years and years and years that we've gotten used to comments being a certain way where some people are themselves, but most people aren't. They're anonymous and comment in anonymous ways that can sometimes be nasty or a little bit more forward. So I like the idea of getting rid of some of that BS and going back to, getting more down to the core of what an actual conversation will be like. But Tom, you bring up a good point that then you start getting into this weird, overly enthusiastic, what's your real motive for writing that comment just now, and the liking and the thumbs up. And then, of course, there's the Facebook factor where someone, a company like Discuss or LiveFire is another good example. It's a commenting system that, yes, is all controlled by a certain company, but on Discuss, for example, you can log in and connect it to your Facebook account, your Twitter account, maybe your Tumblr account. So there's, your Google profile. Facebook is just Facebook. So again, it's that.
And that's why, as a site owner, I'm just thinking, no, why would I ever go ahead and give my comments to Facebook? You no longer own that, and that's really, especially in this day and age, that is so much of what your business is, if that's what you're doing online, is your communications with your audience, and to give that away to a third party in that sense. I understand the allure because it's pretty slick, right? Because as a client, you just you're just like, oh, well, since I already have Facebook open in another tab, I'm already logged in. It lowers the barrier to entry. But then on the flip side of that, it's, do I really want, and just like Facebook has changed the way that the like button works, where now it posts on your feed and whatnot, do I really want every time I'm going to go ahead and post a comment, say on Engadget or Gizmodo or some other blog, do I want that to be in my feed so that everyone knows I did it? Now, maybe I only want people that are there in that space to see that and identify, oh, Darren Kitchen, that's that guy from that thing. Not necessarily everybody that follows me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the point of Steve Chaney over at Business Insider. He had a column today saying people are not going to be authentic anymore when they know that every single person, all 700 folks on Facebook, are going to see everything they say. There are things that you want to say, not in private, but in a place where it's less likely that grandma's going to see it, right? And so you express yourself differently. With the Facebook commenting system, everyone on Facebook can see everything that you write because it's also showing up on your Facebook account. And that's what he says makes us not be authentic, because we're basically in the public square all the time. Robert Scoble says that's a bunch of crap, that people are going to be authentic because they're forced to identify who they are, and that whistleblowers won't be squashed, because what really actually affects change is when somebody stands up with their real identity and asks for change rather than kind of slipping it in under the gun. I think there's still room for whistleblowing in a world where TechCrunch is using Facebook as their commenting system. I don't think it really is going to change the fact that somebody's going to anonymously be able to whistleblow. And it's an old argument. Back at Tech TV, when we were still on ZDNet.com, in the ZDTV days, we argued over whether talkback on stories should be moderated or unmoderated. And the fact was, it was always better when it was moderated. It was always better when somebody had to log in and have their comment approved than it was otherwise, even if that had a slight chilling effect on the speech.
Well, and TechCrunch obviously just being one example of a company that's trying this out, and they've been careful to point out, listen, this is just a tryout. It's not like we've entered into some exclusive agreement with Facebook where we have to do this for a year or anything. But the TechCrunch folks, the argument is always, well, if you don't allow people to comment anonymously to be able to express themselves when maybe they don't want to be outed, you're going to get less engagement overall. TechCrunch says that their traffic numbers haven't gone down at all. Not at all. So there you go. What does it tell you? You get rid of trolls and nothing else is adversely affected? Sounds pretty good to me.
I don't know. I just wish that it could live in an environment where you can offer it as an option while still maintaining the ability to have threads and conversations with those that don't necessarily want to use it. I wish it wasn't an all or nothing kind of ordeal.
Let's move on to Google using the remote kill swatch to kill those 58 some malware apps that showed up in the Android store. We reported last week that they were removed from the Android marketplace. Google now says they're going to reach out into people's phones and remove the apps. They can do this because they were bought through the Android marketplace, and they have the ability through the Android marketplace to take apps away. That way, anybody who still didn't hear about the malware will have the malware removed. It looks like all that the bad software went after was the device-specific codes, the IMEI or IMSI unique codes for the mobile devices. But Google's still trying to fix this bug. They say it's fixed in Android 2.2.2, but not everybody gets Android 2.2.2.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have an Eclair in my pocket. That is to say, my phone is running 2.1, and that's because Sprint and hasn't come to terms with Samsung, as we've talked about before, with the Froyo or even now Gingerbread update here for our phones. So it irks me to see that that something like this would happen, and I'm really skeptical about whether or not this security fix is going to be deployed properly, because we haven't even seen the operating system deployed properly.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that they have to fix it, too. I mean, they can patch the Android marketplace, but that means somebody's going to have to update the Android marketplace, and that can stop these kinds of malware from showing up in catalogs. But honestly, you know, there's a problem when the carriers get to decide when your operating system gets updated for security, and this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, moreover than that, I'm concerned about whether, you know, even though Google can throw out that kill switch and remove an app, that's not to say that any payload that app subsequently downloaded. So people are reporting that, oh, okay, well, the app only got your IMEI and a couple other unique identifying information about your device, but what's not to say that it hasn't downloaded additional payloads? Or at least that's what I was talking to Georgia Weidman about, who actually was demonstrating a transparent botnet control system for Android phones at the ShmooCon conference here in December, I believe. And yeah, I believe that she actually put out all of her source code for that and everything. And it's just kind of funny, but this is the second time now that this has been that Google has needed to use that kill switch. The first time was actually for a proof of concept, and now this.
Does has Google been able to give an indication of how many folks are affected by using something under Android 2.2?
I read something
how many
like
people are we
I read
talking
something
about?
when this originally broke on AndroidPolice.com. I was originally reading something about 200,000 that had downloaded the 21 different apps that were basically recompiled. I don't know if you guys covered this in detail in previous weeks, but the top 20-some apps were downloaded and republished with some extra fun stuff.
Right.
So if you were searching in the market for that particular game or whatever, it would pop up in the search results pretending to be it. So if you didn't know better.
A large number of people possibly affected by this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor, MailRoute at mailroute.info. If you haven't heard about them, MailRoute can protect you from spam, from viruses, make your email address usable again, especially if you host your own email, whether it's for a small business, a small enterprise, or if you just have your own domain name and maybe you do it for your family or just yourself. You want to give MailRoute a try. It will take all of that spam out, take all of those viruses out, and keep them in a vault far, far away from you. You can go check on them if you want to make sure there's no false positives. But they say we don't have false positives. And I've been using it for almost a year now, and I have not seen a false positive yet. It's amazing what they're able to do. It can revive an email account. I highly recommend you give it a shot. Mailroute.info, 1 user or 50,000 users, it doesn't matter. There's nothing for you to do but edit your MX record or have someone who runs your domain for you edit your MX record to route all that stuff through MailRoute servers so they can clean it up before it comes back to you. Sign up as a TWiT listener. You'll receive 10% off the lifetime of your account. Small business accounts start at $2 per user per month. And because of demand for single users from the TWiT Army, they now have an individual user program, $30 per user per year for single users. Visit mailroute.info, sign up with the email filtering that me and Leo use. And now, like John Dvorak, we don't get spam. Well, At least in the stuff that we use mail route to filter. We don't get
Real quick, Tom, if you'd like to spam some Android phones or send some from it and want to learn about that rootkit code that we were just talking about, I spoke with Georgia Weidman at the ShmooCon conference, and you can find more on her blog about that. I've made a tinyurl.com/Android botnet.
All right, let's move on to the judge okaying a subpoena for the PS3 hacker account. Magistrate Judge Joseph S. Sparrow of San Francisco awarded Sony a subpoena allowing IP addresses of everyone who has visited geohot.com since January 2009. Have you gone there, Darren?
Yeah, I've been there.
Have you downloaded anything from?
Then your
Well,
IP address.
Yes, but when I went there, I went there from my Virginia IP address. So
thank you. Thank you very much. Wow, I've got two here. Thanks. This is Allison, by the way.
Hi, Allison.
From Silicast.
This one's yours.
Oh, that one's yours. Okay.
Did you buy her a drink too?
She read my mind and brought me a whiskey.
Figured you needed a little freshener. I know it's not Liquid Friday, but I thought it'd be okay on a Monday.
Yeah, it's for me. Yeah, I'm in Florida, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Have fun.
Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing me out here. Too.
Where's ours?
yeah. Now I want one.
They wanted to know where theirs
Rude.
is.
I'm
No.
really thirsty now.
Very rude.
She said, "What's your room number?" Oh, right, you're not in Florida.
Yeah.
Aw.
Who's on?
Sarah and Darren and Jason.
Oh, Sarah, Darren, and Jason. I love you guys.
Oh, thanks. We'd love you
Thanks,
more if you would have brought us a whiskey, but it's cool.
You can send yours to
Maybe next
548
time.
Market Street,
548 Market Street.
number
Yeah, okay.
39371.
All right. Anyway, so everybody who's visited geohot.com since January 2009, anyone who's visited geohotps.3.blogspot.com, the YouTube subpoena demands data to identify anybody who watched the video and documents reproducing all records or usernames and IP addresses of those that have posted or published comments in response to the video. I'm not done yet. Other subpoenas give Sony access to Twitter, demanding the disclosure of all of Hotz's tweets and documents sufficient to identify all names and addresses and telephone numbers associated with the Twitter account, and information about his account on the PSX Scene website.
I kind of have to laugh about the YouTube comments, as we all know. I mean, talk about bad comments. You know, YouTube comment, you lame, and all of a sudden
But they're
someone's
looking for-
knocking down my door wondering.
Sony's looking for every morsel of information that they can get, because otherwise, what they're trying to do is tie together GeoIP of the IP addresses of the commenters so that they can say, oh, look, there was a substantial amount of people that were involved in this, the audience that were in Northern California, so that they can continue this case here in San Francisco rather than Hotz's home state of New Jersey.
Right.
I'm not sure why they need the identities of anyone who's commented on a YouTube video in order to prove distribution, but there you go. Judge Sparrow thinks they do.
This is a perfect reason why people should be using Tor for kinds of things like this, because it would completely anonymize anybody that were to go to this sort of site. I know that it adds a huge barrier to entry, though.
All right.
I wanted to kind of mention, though, before we get going on that story. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
it's a little more difficult with you not being in the room. But I think that this is one of these things where I feel like the Library of Congress needs to step in here, because they have that ability every 3 years to go ahead and make exceptions to the DMCA, because that's what Sony is suing Hotz based on. And the Register of Copyrights makes recommendations to the Library of Congress every 3 years, and they can determine whether or not something, a technological measure or an access of control of some copyrighted work is used to make non-infringing. If you're trying to use some technology in non-infringing uses, they can make exceptions, and they've gone ahead and done that. What was it in just here in 2010 or last
they
year?
actually review it regularly, and the most recent review included an exception for jailbreak an iPhone.
Yeah, jailbroken iPhones. It also actually included a provision for video games if you're circumventing the copyright protection on, like, for example, a PC game where it was for non-infringing uses. That was one of those things. So it's just, I feel like this is one of these things where the Library of Congress needs to step in, make a DMCA exception that's saying, hey, if you're allowed to, if they're the same people that are saying it's cool to break the copyright on your game so you can legitimately use it, if they're the ones that are saying that you can legitimately jailbreak your iPhone so that you can use it to its full extent, well, the people that are, GeoHot and all of, the people that are using this are doing this so that they can play homebrew, they can put Linux back on the PS3 as it was originally meant to be, and not necessarily so that they can, pirate video games. That's just a subsequent thing that happens.
I think maybe what would be good is if Congress stepped in and said, hey, you know what? Writing a law that presumes you're guilty, even if you're trying to do something that's fair use, it shouldn't be a law. Or maybe that'll come out in the GeoHot case. Maybe he plans to use that as a defense to say, hey, iPhones are jailbreakable. If the Library of Congress gives them an exemption for that, why can't I have an exemption for jailbreaking my PS3 as long as I'm not using it to violate copyright? He very well could get part of the DMCA turned over. I doubt he will, but this is how it happens.
I don't know, but the thing I love about GeoHot in this case is that he's not bowing down to Sony whatsoever. In fact, if you go to geohot.com, you'll find the links where he's actually raised enough money for, I guess you would say, his first round of legal defense. So that's awesome.
He's also rapping.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of the things I like about him here too. Got a few rumors coming from CTIA. CTIA starts right here in Orlando, actually, March 22nd. And Sprint was noticeably absent at Mobile World Congress with any big announcements. They also didn't have a lot of big announcements at CES. So everyone's looking at CTIA to see if Sprint's going to let another shoe drop because they have a lot of feet. Engadget reporting on good authority from their sources that we might see 3 different products from Sprint at CTIA during their 2.5-hour-long death march of a press announcement. Nexus S 4G, which would be the Samsung Nexus S, but just with WiMAX capability. An Evo 3D, which would be similar to the LG 3D phone, I'm guessing, the lenticular lens, that kind of thing. And an Evo View, which would be an Evo tablet from Sprint. And I'm guessing HTC makes these, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well,
this is all rumor.
Of course, yeah. I mean, Engadget has unnamed sources, but again, Engadget points out, listen, nobody books 2.5 hours for an announcement and says something great's coming unless they've got something to talk about.
That last phone that they came out was the Evo Shift 4G. Maybe they're just going to be talking about that for 2 hours.
Well, let's hope not.
It was kind of a dud. I'm really hoping that this... Actually, what I'm really hoping is that these new Evo devices come out with gingerbread and that that spurs, gingerbread to trickle through to the rest of the Evo line.
I wonder how that Evo 3D's battery life is going to be.
I want
Will
an
it
Evo
have
3D
the
with
traditional Evo battery life?
I hope that the
Exactly.
Evo 3D means that it has stereoscopic cameras on the back. That would be super cool.
Little minor substantiality to this rumor. Engadget went and tried all of the variations of those product names on the Sprint website. And when they went to sprint.com/Evo3D and sprint.com/EvoView, they were redirected to the Sprint homepage rather than being taken to a page not found, which implies that those directories are at least in the system. They're not just totally unused directories. And even better is when they went to now.sprint.com/Nexus, it took you to an actual landing page that says, we're not quite ready yet, come back soon.
Oh, wow.
Nothing to see here, move along.
All of these directories bear out the idea that maybe these are at least product names that they're playing around with, if not actual products to come out at CTIA. So we'll keep an eye on that. Finally, Skype will start serving ads in the U.S., Germany, and U.K. ahead of their upcoming stock IPO. I guess they want people to buy their stock. They're like, look, we can make money. We promise, besides just subscriptions. So if you're in Germany, because there is only one now, UK and the US, and you're using Windows Skype desktop client, you may, on certain days, see an ad on your home tab. They say they're only going to have one ad per day per user, and you may not have an ad on certain days. They're going to take this very slowly. You will not be having ads during your calls.
That's nice. It's not going to pop up and be like, möchten Sie an advertisement?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this is inevitable, right? I mean, we all knew that Skype was going to have ads implemented at some point.
Just like we were talking about when Twitter got ads, and I was one of the people that were like, hooray, Twitter's a good service. I want it to stick around. If that's what they have to do to maintain, go ahead. What doesn't have ads?
Thank you for using the Skype service. Your Skype call is being brought to you by Chesterfield.
Yeah, please no.
Yeah,
Manchester, excuse me.
No. The whole audio portion of, the ad model should probably be left out of Skype calls. But we'll have to see. Again,
Well, if it was read by the Skype call testing service lady.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it would get old quick.
Yeah.
You'd start to like Skype Lady a lot less.
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. Give her a
Interesting that
phone
it's
book.
just the Windows desktop client for now. Doesn't affect me. I'm not going to see any ads, at least
Well, just like
in
the
immediate future.
Just like the Twitter app doesn't affect me because I'm on the Android client.
Yeah. In fact,
So I don't
before
have
the
the bar.
show, I was talking about the
The bar.
the Dick Bar, named after the CEO. That's why it's called the Dick Bar. And Darren was like, "What?
His name is
are you
Dick
talking
Costello.
about?"
Yeah, I don't have the Dick bar.
Yeah, so that is, and Twitter's going to pull back on that a little bit because people have been so upset by the implementation and how intrusive it is. So it'll be remains to be seen if people will get up in arms about Skype.
What I find so interesting about
not
this
a
is
surprise.
Skype has been around for years. We've relied on this so much, and up until now, they've only had a premium service for businesses that you could pay for, but no other like advertising or other ways to monetize the service. And when you think about it, it's like, well, what is the service aside from I understand the costs involved in developing that platform, that closed proprietary platform that it is, but it's based on a mesh network technology where I can't imagine what their infrastructure costs must be when all Skype calls are being routed through all other Skype peers.
Yeah, well, it's all those SMS messages.
Yeah. Okay.
That you use to post your Twitter. Actually, I don't think I've posted on Twitter via SMS since iOS got apps.
I haven't since I posted Martin Sargent's phone number because I misused the DM feature.
Oh, yeah.
Because the DM feature, it doesn't work the way that you think it's going to work.
You don't type
and
DM.
I
you
made a
type
couple
D.
of mistakes, and after that one, I was like, can't be trusted. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, haven't used it since.
All right, folks, you want to be more productive at work? We have got a study for you. This also comes from Germany. L. Reinzig? Yeah, of the Hamburg Media School at the University of Hamburg in Hamburg, Germany.
In the Germany.
In the only Germany, has produced research proving, according to IO9's headline, that online gaming at work is good for you and for your boss because it makes you a more productive worker. The thesis is that workers, when confronted with tasks requiring concentration, become fatigued, perform less efficiently, and they need 4 things to be able to recover from that fatigue: psychological detachment from work, relaxation, mastery experiences, doing things that you feel good about, that you're in control of, and then 4, feeling in control in general. What recreational tasks fulfill these? Games. The author... Okay, but here's where the study goes bad. The author emailed 10,000 users of a popular online gaming portal, got 1,212 to complete a survey, and questioned them regulating their gaming habits, gave each of them a €5 credit to the gaming site, and the survey revealed that online gaming seems to ease recovery from job fatigue.
Well, of course they would say that. They want to game.
I'm sorry, I wasn't really paying attention. I've been playing Quake 3 this whole time.
At least
Stole
you're more
my joke.
productive. At least you're more productive.
Yeah, but I've got the Quake 3 sound effects going.
Oh, we've been through 7 stories. I need to do some online gaming.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is the sort of thing that's easy to laugh at because you go, well, of course they're going to say that online gaming is helping them, get through the day better.
Well,
but there is something to be said about that. It's like taking a walk around the block. I mean, you need to take breaks
Yes.
and you blow off steam however you blow off steam.
Yeah, and you know what? Do they necessarily mean like during your work day? I mean, Tom, tell me, when you were at Tech TV, did you not, like after 5 o'clock, go ahead and load on StarCraft because you were on a LAN, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, at CNET, I used to play Warcraft in the evenings just
It's
to
true.
take a break. I mean, yeah, Jason caught me a couple times. So yeah, I mean, you do need that break. I don't necessarily have a problem with the conclusions of this study. I just don't think the study actually proves it yet. The study sort of points the way for further research, right? Just like that study we had about cell phone radiation, where they found that, strapping a cell phone to somebody's head while it transmitted raised the temperature of that side of the brain. That's good research. That helps us take a step. It doesn't prove anything about what radiation does to your brain yet. It's a piece in the puzzle, and that's what he's doing here. He's making a piece in the puzzle that says, okay, now we've done this survey and we found out that people self-report that this is, let's do a controlled study. Let's bring some people in. Let's see if we can study these effects in a more definitive way. But I do think that I'm a big believer that you can't just work constantly all the time. And especially now that I do a lot more work on my own time than I ever did before, I find that that's even more true, that I have to stop myself from working and say, take a break. You'll be more productive if you just give this a few minutes and come back to
and
it.
You know what it's different than too? Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was just going to say that's why Instagib matches were made, because, they go real quick. Yeah. All right.
I don't even know whether to finish that one. Was that a joke?
I was talking to Tom about how when you work when you work on your own or in your own office or for yourself or in a situation like that. Yeah, I take little breaks as well, but they have to be really quick gaming matches. And I was actually thinking about what particular games might be well suited for different departments and stuff. Say if you're an accountant, maybe a little 10-minute break there to play some Farmville, where you're thinking about, and your mind's in this mode of crunching numbers, and you're like, oh, I got to get the potatoes or whatever it is that you do in Farmville.
Or I don't know. Maybe it needs to be totally different though. It needs to be an entire break.
You think maybe if you're in HR, you should be playing The Sims? You toy with some people.
I think you got to do the opposite. I think HR people should be playing first-person shooters.
Okay.
So that they won't end up shooting all of the people that work for them.
Yeah.
Just get that out of their system.
See, that's the study I want to see.
HR managers are always the worst. Yeah, or you've got some sort of a mathematical Tetris-y kind of a thing when you just need to it's almost like a meditation exercise for 10 minutes. You're just
I've had the eureka moment while waiting for that long block, the L block in Tetris, and you're like, and then boom,
you realize the meaning of life.
Yeah.
Or at least what you need to do next.
No, it was where I left the semicolon in my C++ code. Yeah.
Really? And Tetris taught you that?
No.
Then when he was putting the semicolon back in his C++ code, he had this realization of how to make that Tetris block fit.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I was programming the Tetris game. I'm remembering it wrong because I'm trying to do this podcast, but I'm also trying to feed my farm here. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'll get back to the podcast.
We'll start the news fuse. I feel like I should be running away from the flames.
Yeah, it is kind of scary.
Broken DRM schemes did not work. Suing the fans was a disaster. Third time's a charm, right? The international music trade group IFPI has found a new way to shut down piracy. It cut off the pirate site's ability to accept major credit cards. Both the credit card companies and the UK police have agreed to act on the music industry complaints. Who needs judges when the police will carefully examine the evidence? And the credit card companies agree to just believe whatever they say.
Facebook just finalized their list of accepted ad networks for use within Facebook apps. And guess who wasn't invited to dinner? I'll give you one guess.
Ooh.
Tom and Google. So
damn.
Two. A big company and one very big man.
I knew they had
AdSense was not on the list of approved services, and all Facebook would say, this is kind of snotty, so I'll read it in a snotty way. Any missing ad network has yet to agree to the Facebook TOS. So we know what they mean. Basically, Google was being a jerk about data portability, so Facebook can be a jerk about ads. And who loses here? Not really anybody except the developers.
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 Hey, you, the Zoom user. Yeah. Okay, go ahead and root that device. You can just root it until the cows come home because you're still going to get 4G. Motorola has officially confirmed that it will attempt to perform 4G upgrades on all Verizon wireless routing Zoom tablets it receives from users, rooted or not. They say that you'll probably have a better chance at upgrading if you just go ahead and get the Virgin firmware, reinstall that. But they're also up for giving it a try. They just don't make any guarantees. Listen up, Sony. That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Western Digital just announced a monstrous deal to acquire one of its primary competitors, Hitachi Global Storage Technologies. That's right, they just bought Hitachi. Under the deal, which is a mix of $3.5 billion in cash and $750 million in Western Digital common stock, the two will combine in a way that sees the Western Digital brand survive by Hitachi-branded hard drives. And Steve Milligan, president and CEO of Hitachi, will join Western Digital as president.
On a serious note, following several reports of Facebook users announcing their intention to commit suicide online, Facebook and UK and Ireland-based Samaritans.org have teamed up to allow other users to report their friends who may be considering suicide or seeming as though they may be considering suicide. So anybody worried about a friend can fill out a form that asks for the Facebook pages where the messages are posted, the user's name, any networks or groups that they might be involved with, and then suicide-related alerts will be escalated to the highest level for attention by Facebook's user operations team.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we've heard about how the Verizon iPhone data speeds were slower than AT&T. But according to a new study by analysis firm Metrico, they may be even slower than we first thought. AT&T's iPhone download speeds are about double that of the speed of the Verizon iPhone. Although, really, the latter, they've got them beat on reliability for sure. Now, Metrico notes the average browser load times, though, on both devices about the same. Yeah,
I would have never guessed that. The QT framework, which I know is pronounced cute. Everyone always emails me that.
So
I say
cute.
QT because there's a lot of people not familiar with it, and they might not think I'm just saying it's a cute little framework. Anyway, Qt framework owned by Nokia is the heart and soul of the Symbian and MeeGo development. So that's not good news because Nokia is de-emphasizing MeeGo and Symbian. No surprise that Nokia is ditching the framework by selling the Qt commercial licensing and service businesses to Digia. Nokia assures us it will continue to invest in Qt development, and it can afford to because according to Bloomberg, Microsoft is paying Nokia in excess of $1 billion for the Windows Phone 7 deal. That's the deal that led to the MeeGo Symbian demise.
I wonder what that
Circle of
means for
life.
GTK. I guess we'll find out.
Stamp haters, rejoice! Why?
Hooray.
Well, I'll tell you. The Swedish Postal
Stamps are
Service.
lame.
Stamps are lame, and here's why, says Sweden. Swedish Postal Service plans to allow citizens to pay their postage via mobile phone text message instead of stamps. So what happens is the users will send a text to a specific number, and then they'll get a special code sent back. That code then gets written down on the physical piece of mail instead of, licking a stamp and attaching a stamp to the mail. No word on the official launch date in Sweden. They say no word before the summer. But a similar system is set to launch in Denmark on April 1st. Sweden and Denmark both say, hey, people are going to send letters. We're not trying to keep people from sending letters. This is just the easier way to go about it. And I have to agree because I haven't owned stamps for well over a year, and I have to send a letter so infrequently that then I have to go to some sort of FedEx-y store and buy a stamp.
Sarah,
It's a big mess.
just frank your mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not franking your mail, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. If you're wasting a lot of money on postage.
Yeah, seriously. It's free. Just write frank. Wikipedia.com or .org/franking. Learn more.
So before we get into the calendar, should we talk about Charlie Sheen?
No,
This whole internet?
so over that. I mean, we're winning, right? Already? I don't need
By
Charlie Sheen to
winning.
tell me how to win.
Losers. All right, fine. Then we'll talk about giant moon caverns.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds
Is that
good.
not good enough for you,
No,
scientists? at the Indian
I'd
Space
like to know
Research-
more.
Who doesn't love
Scientists
giant
at the-
moon caverns?
Let me tell you who loves them the most. Scientists at the Indian Space Research Organization who have discovered a giant underground chamber on the moon which they think could be used as a base by future astronauts on manned missions to the moon. An analysis by an instrument on Chandrayaan-1 revealed a 1.7-kilometer-long, 120-meter-wide cave near the moon's equator. That's the Oceanus Procellarum area of the moon. That's no moon. That's a site for a base station inside of a cavern.
Tom, I was going to say it's one of the warnings that we should give to the future astronauts of the moon that may go to this cavern. Watch out, you might be eaten by a grue.
Yeah, don't go in there without a flashlight. Trust me.
Yeah, I wish we had talked about Charlie Sheen. Sorry.
No, the moon mole men have Adonis DNA. All right, on to the
There you go.
calendar.
Got it right around. Very good. Calendar time. Pwn to Own starts on Wednesday at CanSec West. WebKit just got patched, so you should expect Safari to be patched before the contest. But Charlie Miller, who you may know as the Safari Pwner 3 years in a row now, is very confident that he'll still be able to do it. So I don't know. I'm rooting for Charlie. There's a lot of contests. It's like Android. If you're an iOS hacker, if you think you know your way around BlackBerry, there are all sorts of prizes to be won. There's a pool of $125,000, laptops to be won, a MacBook Air for the hacker that takes down Safari, for example. So lots of fun to be had. Darren, I'm sure we'll be watching this closely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go next year. I want to go to Vancouver so bad.
AOL has closed a Huffington Post acquisition. We've obviously talked about that. Oh gosh, was it several weeks ago now? So that's a done deal. No word yet on how that will change. I don't know the tech portion of the AOL arm that Huffington now is going to be running, but we'll
But
find out
everybody
eventually.
always assumes in these deals that they happen the day they're announced, and they always take forever. And so today, the significance of today is today it's done. Today, Ariana is now in charge. Finally,
Right.
She gets to move in.
Yeah. The HP touchpad showed up on Amazon today. You can't pre-order it, though, but it's listed. So it's a step in the right direction. And some ComScore numbers are out, the latest set of them anyway. Upshot is that they show Android in the lead in the U.S. for the first time, overtaking the BlackBerry OS. Now, we talked about Nielsen numbers last week. So now Nielsen and ComScore are agreeing with each other that Android is number uno in the U.S.
Until, of course, BlackBerry launches their own rootkit, which takes over Android devices and replaces it with their own OS.
Until then.
Yeah.
Census victory.
Right. Reminder that our South by Southwest coverage is getting near. Less than a week now till we go down to Austin. A bunch of us are leaving Friday night. Jammer B, by the way, is already driving to Austin, and he's in a car, which you can actually watch live. This is a service
He's in
called
a car
Glimpse.
colored to look like a green arrow.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, that's exactly
Going
what
about
the car looks
68
like.
miles an hour near Fresno.
Yes.
South on the 5.
For anybody who's not watching the video feed or watching us live, there's a service, glimpse.com, spelled like it sounds, where you can hook up. I guess what is it like?
Actually, it's spelled GLY.
Oh yeah,
I don't
not
think
how you-
Glimpse has
that's
an
not-
I in it.
That's not how you spell glimpse. Not spelled like it. Not well. Anyway, it's spelled in a webby way.
Yeah.
Where you can hook up the GPS in your phone, I guess.
Yeah.
And you follow on Jammer B. He's on the I-5 right now, so kind of the armpity part
And
of
if
the
you want
trip.
to know why he's driving, he's taking a bunch of the gear out so that we don't have to ship it.
Yeah, you might not realize that there's a lot of gear that goes into doing anything remotely. You know, our CES coverage also had to drive down to Vegas. Austin, however, is a longer drive. So kudos to Jammer B. Reminder that we're doing a bunch of coverage on Saturday the 12th and Sunday the 13th. Sunday's our big day because we shoot TNT live episode of TWiT, and we're going to have a meetup. We're going to meet all of you. We've got a Plancast set up at plancast.com/TWiT where you can find out more information. The venue's called Momo's, and we'd love to see you. And if you can't be there, don't worry because we'll be streaming it. It'll be a good time. Oh, and by the way, I got a little bit more information about my flash mob that I told you all I was participating in on Saturday. It's going to be either the awesomest thing I've ever done or the most embarrassing. I'm just not sure which. Yeah.
Intriguing.
Yes, but we'll be live streaming that as well. So
Be both.
That'll be on Saturday.
Also, Eileen wanted me to point out that the Glimpse is an app for the iPhone. So if you want to
cool.
be a glimpser,
Yeah.
and
It's on
have your
Yeah, it's on Android as well. In fact, this is what I really needed for Hack Across America.
Yeah, no kidding.
I had something like that actually that was doing that, but it was a total hack, and it only gave you like the most recent 1,000 updates.
That's
Isn't that
perfect for
fitting?
Hack Across
Yeah,
America.
exactly. It's
I'm gonna have to do it again, I guess.
All right, let's move on to our voicemail. 260-TNT show is the number to call and leave a voicemail like Mark did. He's in Arkansas. I didn't even need Glimpse to tell me that. I'd call right
Yeah,
now.
this is Mark out of Arkansas regarding episode 192. In my computer bag, where I'm likely to be storing this new iPad, is an external hard drive, which, as I understand it, is somewhat allergic to large, powerful magnets, such as would be found on the iPad's fancy cover. I'm wondering how that's going to work out. Also, the proper pronunciation of that other tablet device has got to be Exum, because, as we all know, the professor's name is Xavier. I'm sorry, that just
X-Men
really
joke.
too much time by myself in the truck. Good evening.
Whoa.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
okay, Mark. We're right here in the truck with you. It's going to be okay. Besides, I like a good X-Men joke, right?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Am I alone?
Okay, fine. It's Exum. That's what we'll call it. The Motorola Exum.
Anyway,
Be the laughing stock
I'm with
of the-
Mark.
Gesundheit.
I'm guessing
Thank
those
you.
magnets aren't powerful enough to really cause damage to your hard drives as long as they're in a proper case, but it does make me nervous.
We're
Yeah.
talking about solid state or spinny disks.
I'm thinking spinny disks.
Okay.
Solid state is the hard drive that's in the iPad, and I assume that's fine.
Yeah.
But if he's talking about he sticks his iPad in a bag right next to an external hard drive. That's an old magnetic hard drive.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Yeah. I was just going to say solid state. That's the way to go because I just got this 11-inch notebook specifically
But you
because
can't get
it
solid
would-
state disks in the capacity.
Oh, yeah. I
of,
guess- well, you could rate them. Yeah, it's expensive.
you can
Okay.
get 1 terabyte.
I was just saying,
external
like,
hard-
I put this guy in my tank bag on my motorcycle, which is this bag that is, like, connected to my my steel tank by these really powerful magnets, and so far no problems.
No, the magnets are probably not powerful enough. I get that, but it still makes me nervous. Just magnets and hard drives, Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Mark is the first one to bring this up as far as anything that I've read, and it's a really interesting question.
Yeah, it's probably not a deal. It's probably not a deal because the magnets aren't powerful enough.
Yeah.
They were powerful enough to mess up that Kindle a while back.
On to the email, TNT@twit.tv. Amy wrote in regarding Windows Phone update issues and said, look, what do you know? The manufacturer having trouble with a phone update is Samsung. At least it sounds like they're not having as huge of a problem as they did with Android updates. I blame Samsung and will not buy another phone from them again. On the other hand, now that I have rooted the phone and flashed the Bionics ROM, the phone is great, except for the GPS, which is because of hardware. Yeah. Which is not always great.
Amy, go swap your phone. I did the same thing.
In the case of Amy versus Samsung.
Seriously.
In the case of Amy versus Amy.
Yeah.
I got a Samsung phone. I had to, try again to get a piece of hardware that's not a dud. I had the same GPS issue.
Yeah. So you're saying you can get one that doesn't have crappy GPS? Just
yeah. It seems like 50% of them have just like dud GPSs. So take it back, see if you can get it replaced.
Next email from Aaron, who loves the show, says, I have a friend who used to pirate because he didn't have the money to buy the item. He later graduated college and got a good job, and then went back and bought most of what he pirated. This gave me an idea that maybe most pirating is done by the poor, and if this is the case, couldn't the RIAA start a charitable organization that would pay for pirated work? Then they could count the loss of a pirated work as a tax write-off. This is especially beneficial because they could write off $100,000 for every $20 of work. This may be a business model in itself.
Yeah, I'm now going to be selling every episode of Hack 5 for like $10, and I want you to pirate them so I can just go ahead and make that claim.
So you can write them off as a donation.
Yes, yeah. 250,000 downloads times $10.
My episodes cost $10, but I donate them to all of these. I think all of the people I'm taking this way too seriously, but I think all of the people downloading them would have to be charities. They'd have to, not just charity cases, but they'd actually have to be charities for that to work.
I can also vouch.
I like the way he thinks.
I'm not going to name any names, but I can vouch for some of my more affluent friends being the biggest pirators. Why? Don't have a good answer for you, but it's not just poor people pirating.
See, my pirate friends are the ones that just archive stuff. They're just archivers. They just download everything they can and just
librarians in nature.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
collectors.
Right.
You say somebody who's not poor who for sure pirates. Is that what you're saying, Sarah?
Yeah, I'm not saying archiver on IRC.
Listen, I'm talking historically. Aaron didn't say when the friend used to do a lot of pirating, but it was before the friend got out of college and got a good job. So back in the day, there was a bit of pirating going on in some of my circle of friends. Just saying. Some of them had money. Just saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
We'll leave that right there.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for watching the show. Darren, catch him on Hack 5. If you like him on TNT, he's 5 times as good on Hack 5.
Yeah, seriously, we duplicate myself. It's good.
Yeah, well, that's just because of the clones. And, of course, Sarah Lane on iPad Today, right here on the TWiT Network.
Very true.
Every Thursday. And Jason Howell on his Android show. That's still in beta, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, it's coming soon. Couple of weeks.
I will be on the show again tomorrow from Orlando, Florida, and then I'm not on the show on Wednesday. What will happen? You'll have to watch to find out. twit.tv/TNT. Give us a call, 260-TNT-SHOW, or email us, TNT@twit.tv. We'll see you tomorrow.
Whoa.